So I like to use the Rigor and Relevance rubrics almost as a guideline and essentially ask myself questions by reading it, like, does this lesson fit into where I want it to as far as like developed or well developed. So I think it really comes in handy, especially being a newer teacher, is to make sure I'm getting the lesson where it needs to be.
It gives us a guiding place, and it's like a checklist. Okay, this is where we are. What is that very small tweak that we can use and do to actually get one more level over?
When we first started hearing the Rigor and Relevance rubrics, a lot of us were kind of like, what is this? What are we talking about? And as we started to see the framework of it and the layout, the categories and what it's talking about, as a fine arts group, we kind of asked ourselves, okay, so where do we fit in this? And this year has really kind of been a year of reflection for us because we have our arts programs. We know our students have to rehearse. So when we are framing our rehearsals, when we're framing our lessons, where are we incorporating these rigor, relevance categories or things that we're helping to make sure that we are getting the most out of our students and they are learning the most possible.
So my thought was, okay, just ask them about this graph. Just ask them to give you any information. That was my warm-up. I had just put one up there and they were gonna do it. And then I looked at the rubric and I was like, this really isn't getting them to think. It's just very factual based.
I was gonna post a question that said, what are the characteristics of culture? And then when I went back to look at the rubric, I realized that that was just at an emerging level. That was just gonna give the kids an opportunity to kind of list out the content that I had learned, but it wasn't going to give them that extra step. So just by looking at the rubric, I was able just to add a little bit to that bell ringer question, and it changed from the first question I was going to put, and it changed to what is culture and how does that look like in your life? And so I was able to increase the rigor, but at the same time increase the relevance.
I've noticed that my students have been more mindful of what they're learning because a lot of the things are challenging them to think about what they're learning and why they're learning it.
I think it's important, the tools that we've learned from the rubrics to kind of share with the students that it's okay to be in that productive struggle. It's okay to be a work in progress. In fact, it's a great place to be.
They're being challenged to justify opinions that they have and connections that they make and things like that, and that gives me an opportunity to see what they're thinking and either keep them going, give them some enrichment or encouragement, or take a few moments to redirect if they've got misconceptions.
In terms of how my students have been impacted by this rubric, they've just been more willing to have conversations academically, because in middle school they love to get off topic, but it's very easy with the prompting questions and allowing them to discuss whatever the topic is. It's also impacted like classroom management. They just want to talk more and they're willing to have more conversations, because middle school kids don't like to raise their hand and come ask you a question in front of everybody, but if they know I'm going to come to them, they're more willing to ask and take that risk.
It has impacted student learning by putting them more in charge. They're running the show per se.
And since I've required that they're performing for a public and that there is a level of rigor that I want them to achieve and I'm demanding that they achieve, they're doing it. Even the students that said, man, I hate this class, why am I in here, and I'm not gonna do that. They're having a blast. They're enjoying it, they're engaged, they're asking me, what do I need to do? And they're excited that someone is holding them to that level of rigor, that yes, you can do this, you will do it, and you're gonna do it wonderfully. And they've risen to that.
They collaborated with a Socratic seminar. It was very powerful. They were asking the questions. It was crazy to see when you push your students what they can actually do